Welcome to Sketchbook Legends. I'm your artist, Paul Hostetler. Today we are going to be drawing the Addams Family, specifically Gomez and Morticia. Charles Addams, if you don't know, was a cartoonist in the early 20th century. Most of his 1,500 drawings appeared in The New Yorker, starting in 1932. Charles Addams was known for his weird, macabre style and sense of humor. A lot of his jokes and cartoons revolve around subjects like murder, suicide, monsters, witches, the sort of thing for which the Addams Family would later be known. The first member of the Addams Family that Charles Addams drew was Morticia. Addams first drew her in 1933, and she was first published in a New Yorker cartoon in 1938, in which she was being sold a vacuum cleaner by a door-to-door salesman. Now, Morticia in this comic was already pretty fully formed. She had the slinky dress, the black hair, the heavy makeup, the pasty white face. She also had the haunted house all around her, covered in cobwebs, and a husband who was not Gomez. The original man of the house in this cartoon was a big gorilla-looking hairy guy. Thing was also present right from the start, not as a disembodied hand, but as a sort of Gollum-looking fella peeking out from the upstairs balcony. Now, Addams allegedly based Morticia's appearance on his wife, but from there it gets a little, the history gets a little bit murkier, because Addams was married 3 times, and every single woman he married looks kind of like Morticia. You can look them up. His second wife went even further to acting kind of Addams Family-ish, in that she, as a lawyer, slowly convinced Charles Addams to sign over the rights and control to all of his works. Then she took out a $100,000 life insurance policy on him. When Addams went to his lawyer to ask if this was something that he should sign, the lawyer helpfully pointed him toward a movie called Double Indemnity, about a wife who was planning to murder her husband. They got divorced at some point. I don't know if that was the breaking point for them. For Charles Addams, probably not. Morticia also owes a little DNA to, I feel, to silent film vamps, who would have been popular when Addams was a kid. You can see a little bit of flapper style in her slinky dresses, heavy makeup, and sort of wet-looking hair. And canonically, Gloria Swanson was also apparently an influence, at least in demeanor. Now, when the Addams Family was turned into a television show in the 60s, Charles Addams, though not in full control of the property, was still consulted to give his 2 cents on the characters and the settings. Here's what he said about Morticia. Morticia is the real head of the family, and the critical and moving force behind it. Low-voiced, incisive, and subtle, smiles are rare. This ruined beauty has a romantic side too, and is given to low-keyed rhapsodies about her garden of deadly nightshade, henbane, and dwarf's hair. Generally indulgent of the often sinister activities of the children, but feels that Uncle Fester has to be held in check. Her costume is always the same, a form-fitting black gown, tattered or cut to ribbons at the elbows and feet. Occasionally she will wear a shawl. Her voice is never raised, but has great range. Contemptuous and original, with a fierce family loyalty, she never uses a cliché except to be funny. She is a thoughtful hostess in her way, and if a guest needs anything, he is advised to scream for it. The children are instructed to observe amenities and always kick Daddy good night. Now, it should be noted that Morticia's name never appeared in cartoon form in the New Yorker. These were one-off cartoons placed in between articles. There was no need for anyone who appeared in any of them to have a name, unless it was part of a joke. Morticia's name actually appeared first in a licensed rag doll that started being sold in the early 60s, I believe. Addams licensed two different dolls, one of Morticia, one of Wednesday, who we'll get to in a different video. Candelabra there, with a death's head motif. Gomez, who I'm drawing here, did get his name when the TV show was first created, and he first showed up in, 1942, fully formed. In this comic, he's already married to Morticia. They're sitting by the fire in their cobwebby mansion. The caption on this cartoon is the "Are You Unhappy, Darling?" comic. There are no kids in sight yet. So that's the state of the marriage that I'm capturing right now. They're a young couple posing for a portrait. Interesting thing about Gomez is until Charles Addams used it for his character, Gomez was not thought of as a first name. It's an Italian surname, I believe. When it came to the TV show, here's what Charles Addams had to say about Gomez, the information that he gave to the producers. Husband of Morticia, if indeed they are married at all, a crafty schemer, but also a jolly man in his own way. Tries hard to be father and teacher to the children, though sometimes misguided. We can depend on Morticia to straighten him out. Sentimental and often puckish, optimistic, he is full of enthusiasm for his dreadful plots. He is dressed in a tight, double-breasted stretch suit, and is sometimes seen in a rather formal dressing gown. The only one in the family who smokes, although Pugsley can be allowed an occasional cigar. Now that's also an interesting little tidbit. Is I don't believe it doesn't sound like Charles Addams ever imagined Morticia and Gomez to be properly married. That would have been scandalous around the late 50s, early 60s when these things showed up. They had to clean that up for the TV show, and given that so many more people watch TV than read the New Yorker, the happily married status stuck with Gomez and Morticia there. Ironically, about the same time that 60s TV show started up, the New Yorker, which was not in the business of publicizing TV shows, refused to buy any more Addams Family cartoons from him. I think there was also a switch of cartoon editors. The new editor was not taken with Charles Addams. He did not like gore or monsters or spaceships or any of the things that Addams really liked to draw. Addams simply just changed the subject matter for his cartoons. I don't think it makes any of the cartoons better. Charles Addams is a weird guy. He needs to be able to draw his weird cartoons. I'm trying to preserve a little bit of the original cartoon vibe. A very blank, pale white face for Morticia, with the lank hair. And I've tried to give Gomez the same sort of droopy, bug-eyed look he has in the cartoons. There's no documentation of this, but to me, it's pretty clear he was basing Gomez's appearance on Peter Lorre, old black and white film actor who was known for portraying criminals and creepy guys. Drawing the tatters on the bottom of her dress. I'll get to the tattered sleeves on Morticia's clothes later. Gomez needs to be drawn wearing a double-breasted suit. I'll throw some pinstripes on there. I've also given her a little bit of a wrap on her gown. Now, knowing a little bit about tight clothes and fashion, I have the sleeves of her Morticia's dress looped around one or more of her fingers. Now, one of my original ideas was to base Morticia's appearance more on a different artist. Maybe I'd put my own spin on these things, and I thought, what would be the scariest, possible version of Morticia? And my mind immediately went to scary stories to tell in the dark. There's one about, like, some sort of ghost that featured an illustration by Stephen Gammell of a girl with full lips but with completely blank hollow eye sockets. I decided not to do that, but it was a thought. When you're doing fan art, you're allowed to put your own spin on things, you're allowed to mash things up. Coloring in the black is always, I think, a little bit of a chore for me. Some days it's all I can do. For these reasons, I don't usually work in color. You could ask, why don't I do this digitally? It's a good question, but I find looking at a screen while drawing to be incredibly distracting. It's playing in somebody else's playground, by their rules. I like to have the freedom of a blank piece of paper. If I screw up, which I have already so far, I don't know if you've seen that I had to draw Gomez's hand over the lines in Morticia's dress. I'll take care of that with some white out. Now, I've been working on a comic recently that involved a lot of men in suits, so I've gotten pretty good at drawing the folds and the cuts of different kinds of suits. But every time I still need to look up reference to remember which side the buttons go on. You'll notice Gomez's cuffs there, a little bit squiggly. That's a stylistic choice. I also gave him some spats. Gomez is a very stylish man. He's got the money to be. Now, the Addams Family's been going on for quite a while. It was that original 1962 sitcom starring Carolyn Jones and John Astin. A little bit later, I think there was a television special with the same actors, made-for-TV movie. I think there was an episode of Scooby-Doo featuring the Addams Family. Let's see, there was a cartoon, I think by Hanna-Barbera in the 70s or 80s. Then you have the Barry Sonnenfeld films from the early 90s, The Addams Family with Raul Julia, Angelica Houston, and Christina Ricci as Wednesday. That's where the people of my generation know the Addams Family from. After the Barry Sonnenfeld movies, there was another cartoon, another live-action TV show. I think that's Canadian. After that, there were one or two more animated movies, computer-animated movies, with Oscar Isaac and I forget the actress's name, but Furiosa. And then there was the Netflix show Wednesday, which recently wrapped up a second season, probably going to get a third. Not so much a fan of that. Tim Burton has been dialing it in for a while, in my opinion. Here I'm doing the whiteout on her hands. Now I've got about a dozen different whiteout pens I use for different occasions. Every time I do, I just cross my fingers and hope that it works. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. You can see, I don't know if you can see, but here I'm using a white gel pen, and those are notoriously unreliable when it comes to ink output. I hope they'll make more Addams Family stuff in the future, but it's really not up to me. I wish it was, but it's not. That's Gomez and Morticia Addams. Remember to like and subscribe. It's vital for the health of the channel. We can't grow without clicks. If you want to see more of my art, you can follow me on Blue Sky. That's the only social media outlet I'm on right now. I'm P. Hostetler Art on Blue Sky. And if you'd like to support more of this thing directly, you can also find me on Patreon, where you can see these videos early, get sketches, updates, comics, and raw footage. That's P. Hostetler Art on Patreon, links below. Thanks for watching. Stay sketching, stay legendary. See you next time.